Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. Sorry for being absent because work's been a bit crazy. But luckily today, we've got Daniel with us. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, buddy. Good, good. So me and Daniel were supposed to do this probably 10 days ago.
About that.
About that, yeah. And I unfortunately had to ask for leave because work was kicking off. 8 p.m. was getting a little bit busier. But then I thought, it'd be good to restart the series with Dan. And we have a common interest in whiskey. But I also would like to know a little bit about your work, hopefully during the video. So can I start off by asking you, Dan, what was your day like today? Like, what did you do?
Right. Okay. So because of lockdown, I am sharing semi-childcare arrangements and work arrangements with my partner. So I'm tending to do either mornings with her children and then working in the afternoon, or vice versa. Today, honestly, I'm a bit shattered. I can't remember which one I did. I think I did the morning and came home in the afternoon, but then I still had a couple of Zoom meetings and telephone calls this afternoon as well.
Yeah. So
some laundry and some dishes and some rubbish and recycling, as you do.
Yeah, and where's home, Daniel, in Auckland?
Te South.
Right. Yeah. So have you gone into the office at all, or just completely working from home?
Financial services has been identified as an essential service. I'm a little bit fortunate in the respect that the office building where I work in Titirangi, I've been the only person in the entire building. So I have gone into the office because it's very hard with client files and everything that's on my desk to just bring it all home, especially with my partner having brought all her stuff home as well. We didn't have room for 2 home offices. So I've gone to the office because I'm the only one in the building. It's an alarmed building and there's 0 people there. And that's what I've been doing, half days.
And the building you work in, it's just beautiful. I've only been there once. It's a beautiful building, actually.
Yeah, it's a stunning building. Lopdale House in Titirangi. Yeah, beautiful old hotel building originally.
Yeah. Now, just that grand staircase, it sort of reminded me of old-time sort of Indian movies. The actress with the long gown will come down and
sure. Yeah. Everyone's waiting at the bottom.
Yeah, waiting for the lady of the hour. So
it's got a stunning rooftop as well, Ash. We have our end of year functions up there. So on a clear day up there, you can see both harbours and just 360-degree views. It's stunning.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, that day when I came to drop off your Christmas gift, that's the only time I've been that far out west that way. I've never been, and I was in such a rush in the side beach, I think a minute away from your office.
Yeah.
So but I'll come back one day and check it out because people speak highly of all that space there. So
yeah, it's funny. When I moved to Titirangi in 2010, it was still considered very, very west, and a lot of people didn't know where it was or thought that it took an hour to get there. But there's places much further west than Titirangi, much further.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I mean, I have to admit, we're getting a lot of orders from out your way because of like in the early days. But your order is like okay, I'm not going to say anything. But we're getting a lot of orders out that way because you guys have the trust, obviously, but they were allowed to open, but some weren't, and then they got taken spirits off them. It was just a bit of chaos.
Yeah, I think what was happening was that people from outside of the trust area were coming in to buy spirits, and the queues were very long. They were doing a 1 in, 1 out. They were reporting names and addresses, and quite a few people were coming from outside of the area, so they shut down the spirits, which means that 8 p.m. all of a sudden got some more business.
Yeah, it's been good. I just noticed you. What did you pour yourself just now? Purely out of curiosity.
Oh, I just cracked my delivery today.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This would have to be one of the nicest Isla malts I've ever tasted.
Good man. I think as I was telling you before we went live, like when the order for that came, my brother had been eyeing that bottle for some time.
Sorry, Gary.
for breakage. Yeah. He came in. He didn't know your order's gone, and then he came in and goes, "Where's that 19-year-old Porter skate gone?" Yeah. But hopefully we'll get allocated more. We'll bring it in. But that's the whole range is amazing. If you like your smoky whiskey, which obviously you do.
I do, yeah. I'm a big fan of Lagavulin 16 as a stock standard Isla real special malt, but I'm trying to broaden my range of Isla malts and also regions, and going into some Speyside, getting into some West Highland, trying the different things. But I have to come back to my Isla malts because that Port of Skag, that's what I want from a single malt. I want to it just sits with me for like 3 minutes, just a little sip. I just sit there and I just feel the warmth.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your glass? It's intriguing me.
These are my new client gifts actually, Ash. That I've just had.
Oh wow!
So these are Huskies. Might see them on Facebook feed or whatever. They're stainless steel, double walled, so they keep things warm and they keep things cold. And so I've had a bunch branded to give to clients.
Cool, sweet. Wow.
And because I'm between houses, I'm supposed to move into my house in January, but then it got pushed out, and then lockdown happened. So I think my new move-in date is the 28th, and I was just thinking about tonight and what I was going to drink my single malt from, and all my glasses I packed up with the rest of my single malts, which is probably a good thing because I haven't been able to drink them. But I was like, what can I drink from? And I was like, stainless steel mug won't go astray.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, stainless steel lasts a lot longer because I've got to finish this dram, which I left on my table last night. I wanted to finish that first. I do this quite often. Like I'll get to about sort of like midnight or 1 in the morning because I'll stay in the room doing research. And I'll leave a little bit of whiskey behind. I like doing that, coming back to it the next day. But the point I wanted to make is we obviously sell quite a lot of these, the Denver Lily, but they've done a steel version of that one called the Traveler.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I want to get some in. I was talking to Denver on Instagram the other day. It comes with a kind of like a chain. You can sort of hook it to your belt or your backpack, or and it's apparently it just goes with you. And he will quite often. He lives in Mexico sometimes, and he will go for like a trek for 3-4 days, and quite often just fill it up to the top, and it's kind of like a whiskey jug almost, or a small jug,
right.
Yeah.
Because, I tramp a lot, and I often take a hip flask, and it's not a big hip flask. In fact, it's just.
Well, I think you've given me an idea for what to send you for Christmas this year.
It's just a standard hip flask,
nice.
And it's nice. But I found that as much as I like single malts, I don't like drinking them out of a hip flask.
Yeah.
It just loses something for me.
It's not a good experience, right?
Right. So last time I went, I filled it up with Gentleman Jack, and that was perfect because it went nice in a cup of tea. I didn't feel like I was butchering a single malt. Yeah. And it was nice to swig, So I don't take single malt in hip flask anymore, but one of those glasses, if they were in stainless steel, that'd be pretty handy.
Yeah. I'll order some, man. We do a new order from him. With 8 p.m., my beloved whiskey company has become pretty much, more gin company now. We start, you guys order gin from time to time.
I do.
Yeah, and we were completely out of the Denver Lily gin glasses for a little while, and they were outselling whiskey glasses, which is just amazing, Yeah. But yeah. So can I ask you, what's a typical client of yours, and how long has Iron Oak been going for?
Right, good question. Typical client for me is anyone with debt or children or a business or a high income. So it's kind of across the board. Basically, it's someone with something to protect. People work their asses off like you for your business, and that's got value to you, right? You have children that are the most precious things in your life. You have your job, you have your business, you have your house, a giant mortgage that you've got. Those are things that are worth protecting. So basically, anyone with something that's worth protecting, that's what I do. So I help people protect people.
Right. So are we talking like life insurance and
Yeah,
income protection and
that's it. Yeah,
right.
so life, income protection, health, disability, trauma. For self-employed people, there's the shareholder protection, key person protection, debt protection, ACC advice. So I work with a lot of tradies, a lot of small business owners, as well as first-home buyers, mums and dads.
Yeah. Nice. And how long have you been running Iron Oak for? I think you're lagging just a little.
Over 4 years ago now, 2015.
You were lagging just a little. It's okay.
So what? So about 4.5 years, Iron Oak's been going. The name sat with me for about 10 years with my surname, Smithwood. So I was, instead of having a company that was Smithwood Financial Services, I went with Iron Oak Financial Services, and I wanted to, just like with a single malt, I wanted to bring out some different notes and different flavors. And with Iron Oak, I got to bring out strength and flexibility and growth and protection and shelter and storing away for the hard times, and that's how that came about. And, it's been really good. I've been doing insurance for 15 years, but 4 with Iron Oak.
Nice. Well, the thing is, I think you and I both appreciate oak. We wouldn't have the water of life in its beautiful form without the oak barrels, and obviously iron. Right. It's strength as well. So it's an interesting name, very interesting.
It's funny because I learned something you like to learn something new every day. It's been a long time since school science, and when I was ordering these mugs, the stainless steel is 95% what, Ash?
Oh, don't put me in the spot now. Is it whiskey?
It's iron. Stainless steel, 95% right. Iron.
Nice.
It's full of 95% whiskey.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I must say, I actually like your glass because thou shalt not. Hang on, let me pray. Thou shalt not know how much whiskey is in a gentleman's glass, and hold your glass up.
No idea.
We don't know how big a dram you're having. Yeah.
Well, it's a pretty special bottle that I've opened for tonight, so it's not a huge amount.
Yeah. Well, but, I've noticed, and you've been having a few wins as well, which is good. And you work so hard every time we talk. You've been pushing it, like my mate Trevor would say. You're pushing it hard, which is good, mate. Can I ask you more specifically around 4 weeks now, pretty much, almost 4 weeks? What's the journey been like, in particular for your business? What are you noticing? What's happening? You must be talking to a lot of stressed people, individuals and business owners.
Yeah. The initial flurry when lockdown hit was about people wanting to claim on income protection for not having any work, for being told to stay at home, for not being essential services. And that was really tough because as much as I don't want my clients to have to claim because that means something's gone wrong, when my clients can claim, it's my job to make sure they get paid. And this was unfortunately a situation where it's not personal health that's taking people off work. It's taking people from being able to earn. It's the fact that there's not work there, or the fact that the company's told them to go home, put them on 80% of wages. So it's been a case of hand-holding and reassuring and going back through what people have and say, hey, look, this policy is valid, you've got it, but it pays out if you can't work due to illness or injury. So I was having so many inquiries. I got about 350 clients, so many inquiries. Each one was taking, half an hour, 45 minutes to respond to, that I ended up setting up an auto respond that was really detailed, like, a couple, 3 pages long, just going through everything that people were asking so that anyone that was responding could get it straight away, because I was just struggling to get back to everybody inside that 24-hour window. So there's quite a lot of that in that first week. People checking in to confirm what they had is often quite a few of those. And then surprisingly, there was quite a lot of interest for new policies.
Right. That's good.
And I think it was because people were all of a sudden reminded that as bulletproof as they like to think they are, they're not.
Yeah. Well, would I be? I mean, I don't know your industry, mate. I mean, and I've been blessed with some income last few weeks, but I would imagine income protection wouldn't have kicked in because, well, just about every employee is eligible for the their funding or the, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So that was another important part of the comms that I put out to my clients on the website and Facebook and email newsletter was about the government subsidy, because that has been available to everyone. If you're an employee, then your employer should have applied for it. If you're self-employed, then apply for it for yourself. So that's been there. And income protection. I haven't had anyone with an income protection claim due to COVID-19 because no one's sick from COVID-19 for more than a couple of weeks. People are getting it. They're recovering. They're getting it. They're recovering. No one's sick for it for a long time. And those, sadly, that are seriously sick from it, tend to be at the older end of the spectrum, and they don't have income protection anymore. Right.
Well, I think it's I mean, another friend of ours, Stuart Hartley. I don't know if you do any work with him. He does event and wedding insurance, and I've been following some of his posts on LinkedIn, and it's hard because I think no one saw this coming in its form. It's very complicated, and I guess when people don't get what they think they're going to get, they get upset. So,
and that's exactly it, Ash. And this is why a huge part of my job is staying in touch with my clients and saying, hey, it's been a year. Let's catch up. Let's review what's changed. And some of that is fun because I like a lot of my clients, which is always good because it's nice to be able to do business with people you like. Some of that's really necessary because some people just forget, like the instant I walk out the door, what they've got until the next time I'm there. So what I don't want is people to be like 3 years or 5 years down the track from having a policy and thinking that they're covered for something that they're not. That's not the conversation I want to have when they're like, well, that was 2014 or what have you,
Yeah.
So comms out to clients, annual review letters and phone calls, emails, making sure that I'm contactable, so that people can check in and just stay comfortable with what they've got and the knowledge that it does what it's supposed to at claim time.
Yeah. And I mean, the beautiful building you work out of, it's how do I say it? Like, is it inspiring? Because I mean, the type of business you're running, I would have imagined you'd be in the city, on a 20th floor or a 20th floor or something. But you're so far out. How does that work? Because I read your website obviously, and I've seen it before. It says we work with clients all over the country. How does that work? Because you sort of, I mean, you're in a busy corner, but you're in an isolated corner out of the city center.
Yeah, there's a few things there. For me, the years that I spent with an office in Newmarket or Mount Eden, they're a bit of a drag because I had to spend so much time in traffic, and I hate traffic. I'm a country boy from Hawke's Bay, and traffic to me is anathema unless I'm on my motorbike. And unfortunately, doing insurance, while I'd love to turn up on my motorbike for an insurance client, it's hard to carry a laptop and a folder and be presentable when you're pulling off a helmet and leather gloves and that kind of stuff, and weather and Auckland, too many cars. So I have to drive. The other thing is that predominantly my meetings are with clients at their house or at their business or at a cafe. So the office for me is my admin time only. So driving to Newmarket or Mount Eden day in, day out just to do my admin, it drove me nuts. So Titirangi, I love Titirangi. I love the bush. Lockwood House is a beautiful building, as you say. It's clean, it's white, it's large, it's just open and expansive, and you walk in and you feel uplifted and you just feel happy. It's a happy space. And a client's walking up that staircase and will take up the beautiful old lift with an iron, expanding door that has to catch and the double doors. And they come up there and they're already feeling like they're connecting with history, and that they're in a place where it's not just about functionality, it's also about beauty. And those aren't bad things to connect the business with. As far as seeing clients, especially now with lockdown, I've got clients all across the country that I'm seeing via Zoom. Even Auckland clients I'm seeing via Zoom. Yeah, because I can't see anyone in person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. Just for the record, I could not work your lift. which is good because that's how I discovered the beautiful sort of round, big staircase. I pressed the buttons and I closed the doors and nothing happened. It wouldn't let me
Yeah,
go out.
no, there's a bit of a trick to it, and it's a bit of a finger snatcher too. That lift door. I wouldn't let children unsupervised near that lift because they're likely to come back with 7 or 8 instead of 10.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would have seen, like the early 1900s movies that would show how there would be a gentleman. His job is to let people in and out of the lift.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we could relate to that in a way now. I mean, things are going to change. Some careers or fields of work might change a little, but some are opening. For me, we've pivoted quickly to grow online even more. But yeah.
It's a really interesting time that we're living in. There's industries and businesses that were not like struggling, but that weren't dominating, that all of a sudden have been catapulted into the limelight. And 8 p.m. I mean, you've been run off your feet for the last month, right?
Yeah.
And who knows how much longer it's going to go. If we've got another 2 weeks of level 3 to come after one more week of level 4. Whereas there are other companies that have had to quickly and really diligently go, how can we possibly get ahead of where we were to capture what the new wave is? Some companies like mine, where I've been fortunate enough to transition relatively seamlessly to a remote offering. I've been able to send documents for signing to clients with Adobe Sign. It's incredible. I load any PDF in and I can dictate the fields that the client needs to complete, add a signature to it. They get emailed it. They can complete the signature with their phone or any touchscreen device, and they get sent back to me. So it's taken away that need and that stress of, how am I going to get things signed if I can't see people? And to a greater or lesser extent, most people have adapted to that really quickly. Sadly, it's the companies that haven't got an offering that is able to be adjusted to lockdown that I really feel for. I've got a client who's an immigration consultant.
True. Yeah.
I've got a client who's a high-level luxury tourism operator.
Yeah.
She's done a really great thing she's a big-hearted person, and she's now offering her driving services in her vehicles to make deliveries of groceries to those who can't come outside, elderly and immunocompromised. And so she's really giving back in that respect. But that's Sharon from Love My New Zealand, another great company. But it's not like she can earn from doing that. She's just utilizing the resources she has to give back. But it's not like there's any tourism happening at the moment.
No. Well, I mean, I read an interesting article today about how it's going to be near impossible to kickstart tourism, even domestic tourism, because I mean, on the map it looks like a small country, but we live in a big country. It's actually very big. It's just narrow, but for a boy like me from Hamilton to Queenstown, it's very expensive to get there, and it's not like someone's profiteering to a great extent, but it's so geographically spread. Nearly 1,800 k's, 2,000 k's. But they're talking about how you should be visiting your local landmarks. Like for us, it will be Raglan or the Mount or Hamilton Gardens. But it's going to be interesting how the whole tourism, even domestic. I think that whole overseas travel market is going to be even worse. I just point out that some of the guys are getting quite excited about why I called this research. This is research. I just would like to state for the record, it's very important work I do. I have doctor's permission to do it. That's how I do it. I'm sure you do it as well. Your research might be reading blogs and watching interesting or listening to podcasts from what's happening in the industry.
Reading industry news. Yep, you've got to do your research.
Yeah, mine's from. I'll just let you know. I think you've tried that one. I'm sorry. Were you there at the single cast night?
Is that the Kaila?
This is we don't say that loud, but
my mistake. Sorry, was that a mysterious unnamed?
It's a secret Isla. It's a 10-year-old secret Isla, aged in a French wine cask or finished in a French wine cask. But
It's
I mean,
delicious.
oh, mate, it's just beautiful. And 58.2%. I mean, I've said it many times, but I just can't drink. I can't get joy out of 43, 40, or 46% whiskey. I posted a picture about how on Sunday, for first time, I started drinking during the day.
Oh, yeah.
And this is probably the most low-profile whiskey that you'll find in my whiskey room. But even at 43%, I get a lot of joy out of it. It's quite nutty, so it comes to you, but it's not overpowering like some of the smoky whiskeys you and I have been enjoying.
I had to give myself a break from those single cask, high 50 ABV bottles for a month just to get my taste buds back so I could appreciate.
Yeah. Hey, can I make you laugh further? Someone just messaged us on 8 p.m. Messenger. Hey, I'm looking for an interesting smoky a la malt. I wonder what might have triggered that. Like, I want some of the stuff these boys are drinking. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So you are closely connected to a huge range of businesses. What's your outlook? I mean, today they've said it's 1 week more, and then level 3, which is like level 4. We're not going to have big plane full of tourists coming in, or we're not going to get interesting steaks we could go out and eat. So, what's your outlook? What are you thinking? Let's say next 6 weeks. What are you thinking? What's happening?
Next 6 weeks, those that have already adjusted and adapted to doing business in lockdown are going to make gains. Those that still have their head in the sand are only going backwards. There's no standing still. Those that have realized they can't do anything are probably at the point of biting the bullet and saying maybe it's time to shut the doors. They're facing, no customers, no revenue. They've still got bills. There's no escaping that for a lot of companies, and the big and small. So I think we'll see some cautious optimism over the next 6 weeks, because we've done a really good job of preventing this from getting out of control, which I think is to everyone's credit. There've been pockets of people being stupid, but there always are. I think the leadership overall has been really commendable, and I'd like to think that New Zealand will bounce back faster than some others, purely on the basis that we haven't suffered the consequences that others have. But we'll see.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, in terms of the ability to move around, and I don't mean just, going down to the beach or to your local countdown or pack and save. But, I use my mate, James, he owns a construction style business, and most of his work is down in Wellington, but he bases his family in Hamilton, and, he hasn't been able to go down and check on his stuff and all that kind of stuff. I don't think he's freaking out. He's got good systems in place, so staff's being looked after. But him and I talk about how long would that go for, and he's quite graciously looking after all the staff for now, because they've been in good numbers. But how long would that go for? It'd be interesting. Yeah,
there's some pretty tough calculations going on at the moment for a number of people. I've just taken on an advisor and the admin staff right before lockdown.
You're hiring? Wow.
Well, it was time. My goal over the last 12 months was to push myself so hard that I was forced to expand. And February, I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore without some other bodies. In my industry, it's good I don't have like large salaries going out the door, because advisors don't get paid like that for the most part. And my admin staff person has started on a part-time basis, and I'll gradually increase her hours over the next 12 months. But still, it's those are considerations that small business owners have to make.
Interesting. Yeah. Are you going to refresh your drink, or thou shalt not know how much you poured the first time?
I gave myself a nice dollop the first time, and a 19-year-old Island malt. I can't take big sips because it doesn't feel right. So I've still got maybe 4 sips that will just really just keep me going for another minute or so each. I've got this beautiful bottle that I bought off you the other week. The Bunnahabhain 35-year-old, and that was an interesting drop. So that's had a bit of a passion.
Would you like me to remind you when you bought it?
Yeah, I believe it was the end of or start of March. Was it start of March?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to build a collection, Ash, as you know, of bottles that I just don't open. So before lockdown, I only had 2 out of 18 open, and now I've got 5 out of 22 open. So.
But could you do me a favor? Could you bring that bottle up and hold just that beautiful picture on it? Yeah. That there, I can tell you a little story about my interaction with that little space that's designed on the bottle. So that's actually the distillery itself. When I was on Ala, I came down this dusty road, and I didn't have much expectation from Bunnahabhain in terms of, because we don't really get much of this stuff here. We just get the entry level 12, 18, if you're lucky, a little bit of 25. And I came down this dirt road, and it kind of looked like I was going down like a evil villain's nuclear waste site, like it looked deserted, and it was so it looked so different from every other island distillery which was pristine, it was beautiful, it was polished, and it came down this dirt road, and dare I say it was dirty, like it looked sort of neglected. And then I went into that distillery shop, and there's this guy with big dreads. And I opened the door, and he sort of gets up, and he goes, "Oh, whoa, a human!" Yeah. We make whiskey. You try this, and you try that, and I got to try a lot of. I told him what I do for a living, so he looked after me a bit. Tried a lot of single cast stuff, and it was just like, just beautiful. And I'm a big fan of the Bunnahabhain 18 and 25 commercial releases, even though they are watered down. There's just something magical. There's like a unique dark chocolate character. I know yours one tasting note's a bit different. I'm just going to grab my Bunnahabhain 18 bottle. This one's actually empty, but I will keep this bottle for a long time because it was part of my first ever public tasting I did. And there was a lady at the tasting who, this was like the surprise bottle. Oh, nice. Black Oban. I did this as a mystery bottle at the end, and she took one sip of it, and she goes, "Oh, that's Bunnahabhain." I was like, how did you do that? How could you do that? And she told me how she's a scientist of soil or dirt, and she goes to Antarctica quite a bit for research. And this one time they were snowed in there, and she never drinks whiskey, but the only other time she's drunk whiskey in her life was the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old that someone had a bottle of. And then now she tries this in one sip, and she nailed it. Like, that was just magic. Normally,
funny, any other single malt, she wouldn't have had a clue.
Yeah. But I was just so impressed. And I was like, how
really?
Could you do that?
What were the chances?
Yeah. She's actually been she's been a good friend since. She's been pushing me to apply for a grant to go to Antarctica in name of research, because apparently I have a keen interest in water. But I kind of feel like it'd be a waste on me. There's much better people who could go there and probably do proper research and gain something from it. And you got to fundraise $18,000 or something like that.
Wow.
So
my dad was a soil scientist as well, Ash, and he used to live down there.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Drilled out the core samples and all the research. And,
yeah. So it'd be a waste of me. I'll be the guy who'll just turn up with 2 cases of whiskey and wouldn't want to have a party every night. So, yeah. All right. The Oban 14. What is that you like about it? What's happening there for you? What are you tasting? Well,
it's a bit of a come down after the Port of Skag 19, but it's not without its merits. Like, It's the first Oban 14 I've had, and I quite like it. It's very drinkable, so it doesn't last as long as an Isla malt.
Yeah.
But it still has a full mouth feel. Leaves a little bit of, sensation in the throat. It fires a few things up, but it's not a peating Isla malt.
No.
But I really like it. But it goes too fast.
Yeah, it does. Well, I don't have an open Oban. I don't think I do. But if you get an opportunity, mate, just grab some slices of mandarin. And a few slices of mandarin and the Oban together. It's just it's magic. And for people who are watching the video as well, people talk a little bit about food pairing if they're possible. A little bit of mandarin and that together are just really, really nice.
Cool, mandarin. One of the first whiskey tastings of yours, I think the first LinkedIn tasting I went to, you had some, was it licorice? You had some licorice in the tasting platters, and that really opened up one of those whiskeys that we had. It might have been the Kaila, and it was the night that we had the fire and ice.
Yeah, it's Kalila, but not the Kalila. It's the independent bottle, the Gordon MacPhail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's quite nice. I think, like a lot of people, how do I say it? Like, I mean, I drink whiskey neat, and so do you. We drink for the flavors and the smells. There's no denying the fact there is a lot of alcohol in there. I mean, the second one I'm on, the Tobermory now, this one's 54.2. That's a lot of alcohol. The human body's not supposed to be drinking spirits at that level, but we do. As we came out of the caves, we taught ourselves to recognize flavors and smells, and make interesting videos. But if we have a little bit of food, a little bit of a candy or a dark chocolate or a little bit of cheese, it just coats the palate. But it will only work if the flavors sort of complement each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could completely ruin the moment as well.
And that's what I love about the single malt range, the single cask range, where they have the posters that go with them that give the taste representations. I think that's a perfect opportunity for pairing, right? You go, This one is going to go amazing with a bit of candied orange peel, or a bit of toffee, or a bit of chocolate, or a bit of this, or a bit of that, a bit of licorice, a bit of leather.
I mean, how good was that interaction with Brennan? I mean, that guy.
Oh, that was a great session.
Mate, I mean, I've already messaged him. I was like, I don't care. You promised me you're coming back down in August. If you have to sneak into the country somehow, do it. But also, one other sad thing is, Daniel, and I haven't shared literally with anyone else, is I had paid for at great expense the next round, because I only bought a lot of whiskeys from them, a lot of the single cask whiskey. But my second ever order with these guys is stuck in the UK. It cannot leave at the moment. And there's some beautiful stuff in there. There's lots of sherry stuff in there. But we just have to sort of wait.
That's
which is even better.
Like you've got enough to be going on with.
Sorry?
You seem like you've got enough to be going on with.
Yeah, we've got a couple here. But we still have like the single cask range, this particular range, or other independent bottles like the one you bought. It's not something we sell a lot of, but it's just something I'm deeply interested in. And a lot of the 8 p.m. mobs around it, talking about interesting whiskeys. But, like during the lockdown, people are ordering just about everything we can sell. This guy today forced me to selling him to Cody at Impact Cans with his interesting whiskey. But hey,
did you shed one or two tears?
Sorry?
Did you shed one or two tears for him?
Oh man, I mean, he brought it up and said, "Look, I've got a son, and he wants some Codys, and I don't know, he's got no taste. He's 19." I said, "Look, we have access to them. We can put it on the box, I guess, but that's okay." But it also sort of helps what you said before. It's the businesses that can pivot, for the lockdown, for the unknown, are hopefully going to survive. Yeah. So I thought we'll sort of move on to that part of the evening, which I mentioned around where I ask you 3 questions.
Sure.
And then in return, you get to ask me one. I'll just quickly introduce you to this. I would love to share some of this with you. This is the whiskey I named as my whiskey of the year for last year. But I wrote this book, which has sort of gone on the back burner because I released it and then coronavirus turned up. So I've been awfully quiet about it. I think once things settle a bit, I'll start talking about it and start talking about this a little bit. But I was talking to, so you know how you've got the glass, Denver O'Reilly. I was chatting with Denver a couple of days ago, and he was telling me how he made a comment about some whiskey that he thought was the most interesting one he ever had. It was a single cask whiskey. And he even sort of let them know which liquor store or online store he saw it at. And the next morning he went there and it was all gone. So I said to him, the one thing you always do is if you're going to name something as your most interesting whiskey of the year, you buy quite a few of them bottles and put in the garage before anyone else can.
Right.
Cool. So question number 1 for you. What do you think is going to be the number 1 challenge? Because you sort of mentioned the 6 weeks. What's going to be number 1 challenge for people in terms, specifically your industry? You said you're already having some challenges helping people understand the entitlements. But as people start to go back to work, how do you see that happening? What's your number 1 challenge around it?
Probably the first challenge is going to be the budget crunch of what people consider their disposable spend. Sadly, one of the first things that people trim once they've taken away the stuff they know they can live without, like their treats or their Sky TV or that dinner out or packet of smokes, what have you. They look at their insurance premiums and go, gosh, that costs a lot. Or do I really need that? Or when was the last time I had a claim and that paid me money? And it's while those are valid concerns in some respects, it's a really dangerous place to find yourself in, trimming or cancelling your insurance completely, because it's there for a reason. Your tightrope walkers that don't go out on the rope without a net, if they got to a tough time of the season, they're like, oh, we can't afford the safety net this year. There's probably not many of them that are going to do it. And the ones that do, you go, wow, they're crazy. And you take your head off to them, but at the same time, you're like, I'm not smart.
Actually, that's a great analogy with the tightrope and the net. Yeah, I think
other challenges for insurance advisors, I think, is going to be staying connected with their existing clients and proving the value of having an expert in their corner. Someone that you can call up and say, hey, look, this is what's going on for me. What can we do? And we might sit down and look at the budget. We might say, hey, I've got a client at the moment. They're paying $140 a fortnight. He's in his 50s, she's in her 40s, and that's starting to become quite a lot of money. And talking to them today, and she's like, hey, well, we did that non-smoking thing that you mentioned, and he's just clicked past his 12 months. I said, that's fantastic. I'll get signatures from you tomorrow, and we'll get probably 30 or 40% off your premiums by the end of the week. So it's that kind of stuff where you're continuing to deliver the service proposition to clients and the actual value, that you're not just showing up at a claim time. If that, some advisors might not even show up at claim time, but you've got to be there for your customers. You've got to provide that service. You've got to be present and be visible and make sure you're front of mind.
Yeah. Can I mean, you probably already know this term, being omnipresent, right? I mean, and that's something I nailed 3 years ago when we started at PM, and some of our friends are watching on LinkedIn right now, is how to stay connected without that one-on-one time as well, and you do that well with the emails and newsletters, your LinkedIn posts, your Facebook, and all that kind of stuff as well. And people speak highly of your company, but a lot of people still like that whole traditional, I'm going to sit down with everyone and have a coffee, which is very nice. But like, look at now, you cannot have a coffee. You're not allowed to have a coffee.
I think it feeds so much back into that key concept of any business is that it's based on relationships. And if you can't form a good relationship with a client, should you be in business? Right? No matter what you're offering, no matter what you're selling. And you're like this, right? You talk about the courier drivers that come past you and they have conversations with you and they share stuff with you and you've got relationships with them. And that's probably why they're working 12-hour days to deliver your orders at the moment, rather than someone that doesn't give them the time of day or doesn't want to hear about their lives. It's a relationship, right? And while, it's ideal to build relationships on a personal, face-to-face basis, times have changed. I really like Zoom meetings or Skype or anything where there's face-to-face, because you get a whole lot more with a video call than you do just with an audio call, because you can see who you're talking to, you can see if they're looking at you, you can see their body language from the neck up at least, and you get a better connection. So that's still there, that's still manageable. In the end of the day, it's relationships, Ash, and as long as you can continue to create and build and deliver on relationships, I think you'd be well placed to survive.
Yeah, I mean, can I bring something up that you say to me at the end of the first gin tasting? You came to off mic, and I don't remember the exact words, but you said something about, hey, look, we like our premium drinks and we like to shop everything in one place. And I was just like, I heard you loud and clear. I shall go far and beyond to try and look after you. And I mean, little example would it be, and I'm not talking myself up. We didn't have the small bottle of the gin you wanted, but we just sent you a big one anyway. You know, I mean, it's not a big deal.
It was huge. It was huge to me. I mean, I told like 5 people about that, just like that, because it made a difference to me, because I knew I ordered the 200 ml and it turned up and it was 700 ml. I'm like, what a good guy.
Yeah, that's all good. But I mean, some people who might be watching on the 8 p.m. link right now might disagree because their orders are delayed and all that. And unfortunately, we have the mercy of post haste. Literally, when it leaves our hand, we were talking about before the video starts. Once the order leaves our hands, there's not a lot I can do. I can fix it if they've misplaced or broken order. But in terms of that delivery time, we're literally at the mercy of these people who are. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in one of these super warehouses, where all the orders come in. It must be so stressful right now with
I mean, to anyone that is listening and is a potential or current 8 p.m. customer, don't put your vote on the basis of one order if it didn't go exactly according to plan. I've probably had, I don't know, I don't probably want to say out loud how many orders I've made to 8 p.m., but there's been a bunch. And there's been maybe one that was delayed by a couple of days and was more than made up for. So, hang in there.
Question number 2 for you. What's the most memorable whiskey you've had to date? That was, and, could be anything. Could be cheap, very expensive, something you maybe had overseas.
Tell you what, the most memorable whiskey I had was one I'd never heard of before, when I just started to experience the love of Islay whiskies, and I was out with a couple of mates, and I went to order a Brookladdick because I'd heard of that and I wanted to try it, and they gave me an Octomore. Nice. And I was like, what's this Octomore? I've heard of Octomore. That doesn't sound Scottish. and tried it, and I was like, wow, amazing! What a craft whiskey that is.
I mean, people feel like I'm like a magician who just pulls things out of I mean, this is Reese's room. And can I say something to you, Dan? We sell next to nothing of Octomore. Next to nothing. Like we sell
discounted.
We sell maybe a bottle a month or 2 a month, but every release that comes, I collect them because I'm a big fan. You have to tame them. It's a beast. I mean, can you tell me how was your first reaction to it when you sipped it?
Well, at the time I was an Islay introductory kind of drinker. I had some Lefroy and had experienced Lagavulin 16, which was pretty much my highlight. And trying that, I was just blown away by the breadth of taste flavors that it gave. Like someone had spent a lot of time going, well, we don't want to put that in, and we want to make this. We want to get all that range, and it just gave so much. Like some whiskeys, you take a sip of them, and it's nice, and you swallow it, and then it's gone. But the Octomore, it just mouth explosions.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think I've said it during my tastings quite often. The number one thing I probably judge a whiskey on is the finish, how long. And I mean, what I said to you before around leaving the whiskey overnight. Quite often I would do it something because, like even the whiskeys you're drinking, I would have done it a bit differently. I would have started on the Oban.
I was thinking that I should start in the Oban, but I really wanted to try the Portiscay.
Yeah. And just truth be told, that had a little bit of Octomore from last night because,
really?
It's kind of like, for me, it's a whiskey that pushes me over the top, literally to sleep because so peachy, so smoky. I do want to wake up with a little bit of that still going on, kind of like you've had a strong cigar maybe.
Sure.
But I think quite often Octomore is not well understood. It's kind of, like you say with insurance as well, I mean, something that peachy, that smoky, such a high ABV, you only need the 1 or 2 sips, and you could linger it for so long. You could have an entire conversation with 15, 20 mils of it if you can just pace it. But it's just a misunderstood range somehow, which is good. It's more for you and me.
It's on my list. It's on my list to buy.
Yeah. Kusha, actually, before, I'm happy to say it publicly, if you would like to get into it, I've got several open bottles, and you're more than welcome to samples. We'll figure that out. Yeah. Question number 3. If you could think of one historical person that you would like to sit down with over, say, a dram of Octomore, who would that be? Gentleman or a lady?
A range of people to choose from, but probably Churchill. He was a man that he had cigars, he had the stones, he had it going down. He knew how to rile up a crowd and put paid to rebel rousers.
Yeah.
He was a man that I could easily share a cigar and a whiskey with and just listen to a couple of hours, ask him some questions.
Yeah. Mate, I mean, I shared it on LinkedIn. I think day 8 or 9 into the lockdown, I watched The Darkest Hours again.
Oh, yeah.
And I listened to a couple of speeches. This is when I'm in the research room. I've got a bit of whiskey in me, and I was feeling it. Yeah, his speeches, there's something, and they're so relevant for now. Obviously, he talks a lot about the war, where it's a good choice, mate. I mean, I would love to be just a fly on the wall during that conversation. If you could sit down with Churchill, that'd be, very interesting. Cool. Right. Well, that leaves you one question you could ask me.
Yeah, a question for you. Is 8 p.m. going to broaden its horizons beyond alcohol offerings? Where do you see 8 p.m. in 2 years?
To be honest, I don't know. I didn't see this coming. We've never sold, like, in the liquor industry, we say mainstream spirits, the liter gin, vodka and all that, and that's suddenly taken off, which we never focused on, actually. But I think it's very much liquor. I really like doing the events, man. I mean, I said to my mom and dad and my brother, like, there's no magic. Obviously, we're getting a lot of sales, but I'm cashing in on goodwill I've created from the tastings. The tastings never make money, but it's like you said, it's that connection, that goodwill you create, which is not quantifiable. So, I mean, I would like to think we've had, I don't know, mate, 1,000 new customers maybe in the last 4 weeks, and if even 100 of them could stay with us and become passive buyers, that'd be good enough. One thing my eyes been open to is rural delivery, something I never considered, but we're getting a lot of big orders from rural community who I would like to think would like that whole, order coming to the house. So that's one less thing they have to do when they do go to town, which is quite limited. So, I don't know, man. It's evolving. It's just evolving. And trust me, we've sold some very expensive whiskey during the lockdown. You know, I mean, there's people who are very quietly achieving quite a bit, even during the lockdown. You know, because they're somehow the business has survived. You know, they can operate during lockdown. Some are doing really well. Obviously, quite a few are not. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just evolving, and that's what I'm enjoying. Today I was all worked up about my brick and mortar stores and not being open and restrictions on them. You know, and it's okay. You know, it is what it is. You know, we're still in a far better position than a lot of small businesses, luckily. So, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your honesty online, Ash. You always share from the heart. You're very sincere in your messages, and when something pisses you off, you're not afraid to say it. When something upsets you, you let people know. And when you have a good win, you share it. And keep doing it. It works.
Yeah. I'd just like to read a comment. I don't know if you can see these comments, Dan. You still there, buddy? Looks like Dan's just disappeared for a second. I'll just quickly do a round of the comments. Glenn Larson said, insurance is perhaps the easiest thing to cut out with immediate victim budget. Yeah, so true. I haven't touched any of our insurance, and I don't intend to. Hi, Ronald. 18-year-old Glenlivet. Mate, 18 Glenlivet is beautiful. I don't know if you've been following some of our journey. We were lucky enough to have Alan Winchester. All right, Dan's just come back. He's back.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
The old laptop died.
What? Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why wasn't that light on the whole time? We can actually see you now.
It's strange. Nothing's changed with the lighting. Just my laptop camera must have different settings.
Ah, right.
So I was trying to bring more light on, but you know, you don't need to see my face. That's nothing to, you know.
I know what you look like, and I know you drink. I literally know the whiskeys you're drinking because we send them to you. Yeah, I just read this all back to you. Glenn Larson, who's a very good running old buddy friend of mine, he says insurance is perhaps the easiest thing to cut out with immediate effect on budget, and he did an upside down smiley emoji. You know, and he's worked for some banks in the past, so it's easier to cut out. But
yeah, the problem is if say someone's developed a health condition, if they've got something that has changed in their health since they took it out, and they cancel that insurance, they go to put it back in place in 6 months' time. They're not going to be covered for that thing, or they might have to pay double or triple the premium. So it's a conversation that needs to be had with an advisor. Boring my customers is to get in touch, have a chat. If they're finding their premiums too high, if they need to make changes, it's just to get in touch and talk about it. And there are a lot of things that companies are offering at the moment: premium holidays, premium relief, policy suspension. A lot of these things without needing health evidence when people put their cover back in place or start paying their premiums again. So there's a lot of options at the moment, so that people don't have to make that that Hobson's choice of I can't afford my insurance, I'm going to cut it.
Very interesting. And then, do you know another friend of ours from LinkedIn, Doug White?
I do know Doug White.
Yeah. So he's commented, a great business is based on long-term relationships. You know, I mean, mate. I mean, I'm sure Churchill would agree. You know. But it's been interesting chatting with you, mate. I mean, this is probably the longest chat I've had with you one-on-one. Usually it's at a tasting and it's just like short 5-10 minute. And
Ash, my brothers.
yeah. But I've enjoyed this because trust me, mate. I mean, I asked you for a reason because I knew you would add value in terms of what's going on. Also about the whiskey, but it's just people who drink high quality whiskey, I've got a lot of time for. You know, it's the cliche is so true. You know, it's choices we make, things we associate with, people we associate with. You know, it results in something beautiful.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
life's too short for a cheap whiskey, right?
Yeah, I agree, mate. I mean, yeah, I could make a bunch of comments around some of the entry-level whiskey I'm forced to drink at friends and family's places. And quite often my wife will pull me aside. She's like, you need to stop moping, like either bring your own bottle to share.
I had a housewarming 2 years ago, Ash, and a good friend brought me a bottle of Grant's because he knows I like whiskey.
Oh, wow.
And I said, thanks. And I did drink it, I think, diluted with Coke when I was drunk.
Mate, now we're sharing. Okay, we're in the sharing mode. We have a very good friend. Okay, so me, himself, and another friend of ours will go to his house, and this has happened way too many times. And the same gentleman does not drink alcohol on a regular basis. We'll go to his house, and we're around the barbecue. You know, kids are playing, the wives are talking, and he'll have 4 bottles of beer for 3 guys. So we all drink by age, and there's a bottle left. And okay, he doesn't want another bottle, but now me and the other bloke who drink, you know, for pleasure, have, and then he'll go, oh, does anyone else want another beer? No, we don't. It's okay. You know, we've been through this. And I reckon that's worse than Grant's. At least he had a bottle for you, you know?
At least he had a bottle. Yeah, he was a good mate.
Yeah. But I think, you know, it also shows you the power of, you know, he associated Grant's with whiskey straight away. Hopefully, you know, I'm hoping his liquor is 8 p.m. or Iron Oak is, you know, good sound advice. And people don't have to necessarily buy or take something from you right now. They could, you know, join the journey when they're ready.
Yeah, it's that whole they'll probably hear your brand 7 times before they'll engage with it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you run Facebook ads, but I was looking at our retargeting ad, and it's giving some good returns at the moment. But I think I looked at it, said some people are looking at it 48 times on average. 48 times, and we're still spending very little, the retargeting, but it's paying rich dividends, you know, and it shows you 48 times they're seeing something from our business before, you know, I know 48 times, you know, mate, I would just buy something out of pity, you know.
I know people who spend. I've got a mate who's he's a client and he's a handyman, and he spends a lot of money on the Google AdWords, and he picks up a lot of business from it. So much so that if he turns them off, he doesn't get business. He turns them on, he gets business. So he controls his business levels. But for me and my business, I've built it up based on generating recommendations and referrals. And because it's been a few years now, I don't go looking for work. I get from referrals, whether it's from an accountant or a mortgage advisor or an existing client or someone on a local Facebook page. So the Facebook ads, I've tried a couple of times, sometimes just to pick up a couple of extra people that might watch the page and might engage later down the track. But it's not a immediate put out a Facebook ad and pick up 2 customers. It's very much a slow burn because it's a trust thing.
If you ever, you know, I mean, you're in the services industry. If you ever wanted to learn a little bit more about that, I would talk to Brent Norling. That boy, he dominates that. You know what I mean? Like we amongst friends joke, if you touch one of his websites or one of his Facebook ads, it chases you on every platform. You know what I mean? I read a lot of news from India, the Times of India, and even I'm on there and I'm seeing Brent's face. It's like, get out of my smartphone. I've had enough of you today. Get away. You know. But I guess he's in a different space. You know, he's in that he does the resolution and all that kind of stuff. So there's a high consultancy fee involved obviously around it. So he could probably afford the constant retargeting, you know, once you engage. So yeah.
The banks spend a lot of money on getting the insurance clicks. So it's just not cost effective. And there's so much tire kicking and people wanting to shop around that I just prefer to build relationships and business comes.
100%. I mean, that's probably the wisest words, you know, anyone could tell anyone, and it's relative for any age, really. I mean, till the robots put us out of jobs, but For now, it's all about relationships, you know. Yeah, cool, Matt. It's been so interesting chatting with you. I'll stop the broadcast. You and I can have a little chat afterwards. But thank you for your time. It's been very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for joining us, guys. I've got another very interesting person tomorrow, David Halliot, who, oh, don't put him in the spot. I know his company name. It's not coming to my head, but he's in the IT space. A great whiskey man, very well-traveled man. So join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another live broadcast. Otherwise, thank you.